Welcome to this weekly beat with me, Matoma. It's another week and that means a new artist, and I'm right outside his house picking him up. It's Nils Bech, a very famous and legendary Norwegian artist who I would say overnight had some sort of cultural impact on the Scandinavian environment in music, and he participated on this television show with a beautiful version of Oh Holy Night, and the TV show was Scum, and it became a sensation overnight, streamed millions, and the first day it streamed over 1 million. He's trademarked his voice in the industry as very, very special, and you're gonna hear and see what I'm talking about. He has a lot to tell. His life has been filled with stories, and I can't wait to dig in on the personality of Nils Bech. It's gonna be a fun day in the studio. Get in! How are you?
I'm good.
Good to see you.
I realized that we're doing this in English.
Yes, we are.
You know, I only had English the first year in high school.
You did?
Yeah.
But you're good in English.
I wouldn't say that.
You wouldn't say that?
No.
This is gonna be a challenge. You didn't know it was in the English?
No. But you also have a very Norwegian accent.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It's all about the natural, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can't pretend this.
No, we can't pretend this.
And when I tour in the US,
yeah.
I always become so much better, and then I come back home, and then I get my environment, and and then it slowly just like fades away.
Yeah. I once had a Belgian boyfriend, and my English was quite good.
Oh.
Then I remember I also dreamt in English sometimes.
Oh, okay.
You know, very international.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, but that's like 12 years ago. So.
12 years?
Yeah.
Belgium?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm turning into that age where I think like a lot of things was better before. You know, when they had like a whiskey and a cigarette in television debates, and everything was a little bit more madman.
Do you smoke?
No.
Do you party smoke?
No.
So even when you have a glass of wine at the party, you don't go out with the boys having a smoke?
No, I did it for a short period after I did this song O Helga Natt in the TV series Scum. Yeah. And it kind of blew up. Yeah, blew up. And then I started having a cigarette with my ex-boyfriend and my best friend because they were smoking, and it was like a way to escape. Yeah. But also I felt it was like the most destructive thing I could ever do. To your body? Yeah. Because then my high voice would like go away. Yeah. So I was like feeling, oh, this is like me doing heroin. Oh my God, you had that feeling? Yeah. Oh my God, that's great. Oh, I love that you already have on the seat. Yeah, I kind of like since it's cold outside. I wanted us to be cozy, and I just had a feeling that you would like to have the heater on. I definitely do. And when I drive, you want more? No, it's perfect. Yeah. But when I drive with my boyfriend, it's always this thing: do we have enough battery? How much battery does it take? So you have you're all about the climate and the electric car and. Well, I don't have a car. I don't even have a driver's license. Oh, you don't? No, but I have a moped license. Oh, I have a moped too. I'm also from the countryside. Yeah, I know. Like you're from. Aren't you from Hønefoss? No, I was born at the hospital in Hønefoss because that was the nearest hospital. But I'm from a much smaller place called Vikersund. Vikersund, yeah. I know. We're famous for like this ski jump. Yeah. We have a skiflyvningsbakke. Yeah, I know. So I think it's going to be like the World Cup there? Yeah, the World Cup now in 2 weeks or something, I think. But enough about ski. We're here to talk about. I actually don't care about. But tell me a little about like your. You said that you was born in Hønefoss. Yeah. And then you grew up in Vikersund. Yes. How was that? It was both fun and also challenging. Yeah. You know, after I realized quite early that I wanted to sing, and then I started doing classical music, and that was fine until you start to reach puberty, and then suddenly it's something that's not cool at all. Yeah. and I played soccer until I was like 12 or something.
Yeah.
And then suddenly I felt like this place is a bit too small for what I want to do.
So you were an explorer.
I was an explorer.
You wanted to see what the world had to offer.
Yes, so I went to Drammen, the next.
But you know
the closest city.
That's a big step for. How old were you then?
Then I was 16.
16.
Yeah, and I remember I thought it was like such a huge city.
You've created almost like this sensation way of singing all by yourself. But same with me. Like I can be performing every day, but like if I was doing it every day, I can't put my entire energy into it.
No, that's the thing.
Because I get tired.
And also I think it's fascinating that I always focused on that the voice is the only instrument that can actually tell a story.
Yeah.
I think it's so often that the melody and the lyrics don't interact. And also if you put it, often I would, when I release a song, often a sad love song of course, I would put it a little higher than I'm comfortable with, because it brings out some kind of vulnerability in my voice, which I think resonates with the lyrics. But then when you do it live, it's like, fuck, what did I do?
I love you for that you push yourself to the extreme boundaries.
Yeah.
You know, that for me is art.
I also think that's at least one part of what art should be. That it's not that it costs you something. That you it just doesn't just come all naturally 24/7.
No.
So I often also use, like when I do like big concerts and stuff, or even also small concerts, I always go into like this zone where I feel like I'm charging. So just like watch some reality shows, or just like for maybe 24 hours, just zone in, and then it comes much more natural to get into the emotions.
That is kind of like your process of preparing.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it's always been like that.
Ever since you were a kid?
No, I think it was like a eye-opener for me when I was 22 or 23. It was during Christmas. One night they showed like an opera singer singing a famous Christmas carol, Julekveldsvisa.
Oh, no way.
And the next day, Nora Brogstedt did the same song. And the difference between like how Nora Brogstedt delivered like the story of the song and the opera singer made me realize, oh, I want to be Nora Brogstedt. But until then, I wanted to become an opera singer, you know.
That's amazing.
And then I started thinking, but they're so. And then I never like improvised over a melody or made a melody or a song or anything in my life. And so I started thinking, but what can I do that makes me stand out from all of the others? Because there will always be someone who's been thinking they want to do pop music since they were 6. And I would be like, la 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 la. You know, I couldn't do. It was very, in a way, static, my voice. And then I realized, well, I can sing songs that are true about my emotions or like from my own experience.
So basically what you're saying is that ever since you were a child, you've never compromised on becoming a product that your soul didn't want to adapt to. You've always been on the natural process of making decisions.
And even in my home village, if I wanted to have like 2 belts in the tracksuit at the soccer training, I was like, I think that looks really chic. I'm gonna do it. And I knew I would get bullied for it, but I was like, fuck you. So I don't think I've been doing a lot of compromises in my life.
But how does that make you feel?
In a way, extremely vulnerable, but also extremely strong. I think.
And isn't that strength the force you have that gives you that energy?
Definitely, and I also think like a vulnerability and to be aware of your own vulnerabilities is like a massive strength. And to also be able to say like, I don't know. Was it good? I don't know. Like, not try to prove something all the time.
I have a friend that he has the best saying.
Yeah.
Like every time I'm dealing with something and stressing and like I tell him like, oh, what should I do? What should I do?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's the same. And you know, like when first I was like, I thought like he was just like joking.
Yeah.
And then he was just saying the same exactly thing over and over again. Yeah. Because it doesn't matter, it's the same.
Yeah, and it's also like obla di obla da, life goes on.
Yeah. I love that.
All of this. But also I really love this expression that I realized that I said for at least a year before someone said like, but you know that can also be interpreted like a really negative thing. And I was like, what? To say like, you do you.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
Like, you do you.
Yeah, you do you. You be you. Like you, just like go with it. I love that. But maybe I'm very simple. Like I'm a very simple soul. I like you know, I like my kefir in the morning with.
I had kefir this morning.
Boom, we're the same. Okay, we're at the studio, so we're just gonna turn this off and then we're gonna continue the chat.
Yeah. Do you like my slippers?
You know, like it was the first thing that I noticed when you came into the studio. You have floppers, same as me, but I don't know where mine are. Can you tell me a little about them?
I always bring loafers, or in Norwegian we say tøfler, to the studio because I'm always cold on my feet.
Yeah.
I should probably work out more and have a higher blood
circulation.
circulation.
Do you do sauna?
No, I get so easily bored.
Oh.
So to sit like for 20 minutes just doing nothing, I'm just like.
But if you then had like a musical piece or a podcast that you were...
Yeah, that could help.
Yeah.
Probably.
Maybe
but then also you can do saunas with others and then you can talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then, you know sauna is really good for your circulation, blood circulation.
True. But now I feel so many do like the sauna and then they jump into the ice water.
Yeah.
And that's not happening. Then I feel I'm going to have a heart attack or... I'm too anxious to do stuff like that.
Now we're talking about my universe.
But I also thought it was fun to bring them because since it's cow skin, I feel like we're bringing a little bit of the countryside into the modern city studio. My best friend from childhood, their family was the biggest cow and sheep farmers in the region. So I appreciate it. Yeah.
As long as the cow has been treated.
That's the thing, yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah,
they were very expensive, so if it was from...
But are they Norwegian?
No, I think it's like this English brand.
Oh, so it's probably not even Norwegian cows.
No, I think it's like a small British brand. But the funny thing is like my boyfriend has the same and he bought them first. And then I thought it would be so funny when people visit that we walk around in a way like this posh, but at the same time silly cow loafers. And I realized he thought that was quite embarrassing, and then I had to buy them. You know?
Yeah, just to... So how long have you been with your boyfriend?
We went on the first date for about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I had been in a long relationship before.
Yeah.
And I'm a strong believer of like the second time around. Yeah. You know, the second marriage in a way. Then it sticks because then you learned so much from the first one. But
were you married the first time?
No. But the you know.
But the expression.
Yeah.
No, I get that. I'm also very traditional in relationships.
Yeah.
So I haven't had that many girlfriends. And when I met Maren, it was in a way meant to be because. The previous relationship, I hadn't been with a girl for 4 years, and and my first relationship, I only had 2 relationships, like proper relationships, and the first one was the hard. Like I was learning a lot about myself and learning like my feelings in it, and I'm so grateful for it because when I met Maren, I was kind of ready, to find the love of my life.
Yeah, you have had you learned all of this.
Yeah, I had gone through all of these like processes within me, and in the help of my brother and my friends, I had coped with it, dealt with it, and instead of like fleeing to parties and alcohol, and like I was in my bedroom crying and just like ventilating and getting all those feelings out, and in a way, I think those 4 years was very nice to heal. And also to learn. From your mistakes, from
to evaluate.
So my life has always been like trying to like, oh, can I use that in the music? Can I? And I feel like you're the same too. And when I met you at the Christmas show last year, you had a sense of realness to your artistry.
Thank you.
I said it in the car too, and then in the setting of being there, I heard from the host that you had gone through some personal stuff earlier, and then I just got so much respect for you that you had the energy to go through that and also be in personal pain, you know.
Yeah, because I lost my mother. Some months before that. So, but
and you and your mom were quite close.
Yes. And she loved that song, and I had been asked to do this Christmas show many years. For many years, but I always think like to perform that. I do like this Swedish version of "Oh Holy Night" in falsetto, and it's just like. I never managed to control my nerves because the first time I did it was on this big national television show called Kvelden for Kvelden that everyone watched the day before Christmas. And had always dreamt about being on that show, and also because in some way I was a lot bullied in my hometown, and I always imagined if I would be sitting on that couch. And they would see me, and they would look at, oh, he made it in a way. But I never realized how it would feel to actually sit there with all of the cameras. And also they wanted, it was, I recorded the song for the series Scum, and it was the season where it was a gay love interest. So on the couch, it was also a young guy who said he got inspired to tell his parents that he was gay from this series, and we talked about being gay, and then now it's like 8 years ago, and it wasn't that much about it in the public, so it felt so important that I said everything right, that I was representing, you know, the gay community. So I remember sitting on the couch, my mouth was so dry that my lip was up there.
I remember.
And I was just like thinking, if I lean forward now and take a sip of this glass, I'm gonna fall off the couch. And then it was like, and then now you're gonna do Oh Holy Night. And so that was the first time I did it on television, and since it makes me nervous in like a way that nothing else do. So when we did this Christmas show together, I was just like, fuck, I did it again. Why the fuck did I say yes to this?
But you know, the outcome of it was beautiful.
Thank you. But I'm also so afraid of ending up being like, what's it called? When you are like numbed in a way, so you don't like appreciate things that happen, or that you think like, well, this is how good I'm gonna be, or like when people say like, oh, take it or leave it, or take me as I am, and I always think you could always do a little better. You could always grow a little bit more. You could always be a better person to the one you love, or in a society, or you can always try and achieve, and not just like sit down and let your life fade away.
That's a very good analogy.
Yeah.
And also a very good way of living, because you push yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then now I can imagine my boyfriend saying like, well, you lay extremely much in the bed watching Real Housewives episodes, but that gives me so much joy.
Yeah.
So is for me also a part of growing.
So you love Real Housewives?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
My boyfriend is like, oh, it's sun, I have to get out, go skiing or do something productive every day. And I'm just like, it's sun. It's so nice to be in bed when it's sunny outside. I feel like I'm productive. I relax and enjoy it, like that I have time off. And then I can go back and be productive. I think it's like charging in a way.
But do you think that maybe it's because in your profession you have to be very social? And some days you are just not social?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel the same, and then it's just very nice to lay in bed. And for me, I think it's I've meditated on this a lot.
Yeah.
And I find the connection always with the stress I had in my childhood.
Yeah. Did you have stress in your childhood?
Yes, a lot of stress from like bullying, from community, from being different, from having obstacles where I had a hearing aid.
You had?
Yeah, up until I was 16 years old, my hearing was quite bad.
And did they operate it or?
No, it just magically...
Puberty just fixed it? Oh my God.
So, and I think it was, to be honest, I think it was just my body to try and shield me.
Yeah.
From all the negative comments and because...
so it kind of just shut down.
Yeah. And my school community, like my classroom was very, they were nice to me.
Yeah.
Like all my friends that were the same age, of course there were a couple of the same age that picked on me, but it was more the older kids, older boys. And my, you know, like you have like this community where like you get picked like an older kid to look after you.
Yeah.
And the kid I got, he wasn't that nice to me.
Oh no! So the one that was supposed to look after you the first year when you start school, he was actually a bully.
Yeah, and his friends, all of his friends actually.
Oh my God! But how does it make you feel about your hometown now when you're grown up? Do you like going back there?
Oh yeah, I love my hometown. It's like my hometown is my whole identity. Like when it comes to the escape in music, in nature, because even though growing up there, having those challenges, I think like I would have had them anywhere.
Yeah. Because
of how society is built up. Because if you are different or if you shine out as different, then kids today, they get very curious and then if they are going through some things, they don't see the difference in the way a grown-up person maybe do.
Yeah.
So then they start...
it's so awful, like this bullying thing, that it's often like, you know, the H.C. Andersen...
the poet?
Yeah, about like the chicken that always gets picked at, and they take out the feathers of it. And it's the same thing, or like I talked to this Norwegian psychologist once, Peder Kjøs, who told me that the easiest way to, well, like all humans needs to have their flock. It's from nature. We would die if we were like out in nature all by ourselves. We need to be like a team. Yeah. And the easiest way to relate to someone is to say, I'm not like this. Yeah. Because then you don't actually have to do an action or to you distract it from yourself, but at the same time you identify yourself. So by saying he's a faggot, you say, I'm not like him, I'm like this. And I expect you not to be. It's always like this, a hearing aid. If no one else had a hearing aid, that would be like the easiest way to single you out. Yeah. And by bullying you, they would feel like connected. Yeah. Or like making a divide.
Yeah.
I think it's the same shit that Trump is doing in the US now, but turning everyone up against each other, like putting down minorities and then making like the bigger minority, like the working class, into like feeling that they're suddenly like a strong community. And building like a community by putting other smaller communities down. It's like the worst thing in humans.
No, but it's happening here in Norway too, like with the decentralization of like communities.
Yeah.
But how did that affect like you in your childhood? Like you said also that you were bullied. Was it like in a collective way? Was it like single individuals that bullied you? Like how?
It was more like in a collective way, and it made me very aware. So I feel like even now I'm turning 44 in a month. No, 44. I was like, fuck yeah, am I 45? I'm not 44. so I'm like, I can't believe it's 2025. I'm so used to 2024. And but I'm 43 now. I must be. So I'm turning 44. I still feel like with some groups of people, or like when I meet people, I'm very aware. And I think I come across as someone, I hope, that is quite open and loving, but also a part of me is extremely judgmental. I think it's from like, if you've been like bitten one too many times, you also have like this little distance.
Guard.
So I have like a lot of friends, but just like maybe 4 who I think really knows me. And always in a relationship, it takes me a long time to open up. And I seem so open, you know, in the meeting. So, but like the things that are extremely important to me or vulnerable for me, it takes me forever to open that part of me. And I think that's from the bullying.
Is there any like instances in like in your childhood and growing up where like you can pinpoint like specific things that happened that was like, this triggered something in me? Like
I think it's more like this awareness that if I went to this, you know, I grew up in a tiny village where it was only one street with shops. And for example, where the video store was, there would always be like some older guys hanging out there. And then if I passed that, it would be hurtful, you know, then I wouldn't get so many comments. So I always adapted. Or when we had like this finishing party or like graduation party after youth school, I didn't go to that because I knew some elder guys would be there. I always adapted in a way, so I wouldn't get beaten up. And I think because I was smart like that, I never have been beaten up either. But then I adapted with like where I would go. But then, as we talked about in the car, I never adapted on anything else. So I didn't want to change to not be bullied. But sometimes, in some way, they won because they made me afraid. So I can still, think about like this big groups of male teenagers. They can make me nervous in a way.
Put so much feelings in me, it sucks.
I know. But then I think it's like this thing. I remember when I was 25, I guess, a friend of mine said, "But Nils, do you want to be someone else? Or are you happy with being you?" And then I said, like, "I'm happy with being me." And then she was like, so what are you complaining about then? She was very hard. But so, you know, I wouldn't change anything either. But I'm curious about how I would have been if that didn't happen.
Yeah.
And I'm very
of course,
happy with where I ended up.
It's a big crossroad in your in your life.
Yeah, but I think also it's so fascinating, this thing that I have an older brother who's not even 2 years older than me, and we're so different, and we had in so many ways the same upbringing, and I think nature is so fascinating, and I strongly believe that when I was born, I had like this lucky little gene or amulet or something that it's just easy for me to find like positive things in like this.
In all the negative.
Yeah. Like, oh, yesterday I forgot to buy milk to put in the morning coffee. Oh, today, oh yes, I have milk. Or sometimes when you have like really cold water, you're just like, it's actually so good.
Yeah.
Can you imagine like water can be so good? I think that's something
I like your approach in life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of people can learn from you.
Yeah, and now I'm on a podcast, so maybe I'm exaggerating it, and also my boss is just like...
To be honest, you don't strike...
I'm quite happy.
Yeah, you don't strike me as a person that over-exaggerate. As you say, you can be open in the way that you want to include people in your story, but it's when you trust people, you really include them. And that is I think people can learn from that. Not that I'm saying that they should go through what you went through, because that was just horrible. But in that process of maybe sometimes take one step back and feel like, what is this doing to me? How is it impacting me? How am I happy with what's happening? Is it disturbing me? And then from that, you make an active choice of not getting that feeling back, you know?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that that's running from life. It's just adapting to the environment that you have been set to have. And in some way, you were quite unlucky to be in a small community, because if you had lived in the city, you could have changed school.
Yeah.
Would it have been better? You would never know.
No.
Because that wasn't your outcome. But instead of fleeing, you set your ground, and you learn from it, and you...
And in the big city, I would maybe have been one of many. At least.
Yeah. But now you're seeing the positive. Now you're seeing the positive out of it. Yeah. No, but yeah. But being like growing up in a time where your sexuality wasn't like, in many ways, in the older culture.
Like 10 years before I was born, it was decriminalized to be gay in Norway.
Yeah.
So until 1971, I think it was criminal to be gay in Norway. Yeah. And just by saying that it's not criminal anymore, it doesn't take away all the negative,
culture.
Yeah, the culture around it. And so I feel like for every like decade, that big black hole from that law fades out a little bit. But then in the 80s, I grew up with my mother being extremely afraid of... I think she was afraid of me being gay from the day I started talking or walking. Because it was the AIDS epidemic. And so for her, she thought like, if he turns out gay, he's probably gonna die. It was so hardcore.
So hardcore.
And you always heard like these stories about like, he was sexually abused as a child, so that's why he's gay. It was always something negative. It was never just like...
It's just who you are. It's like you're born like this.
Yeah, and it was like before I moved to Oslo in the year 2000 that it started to be some people in the news. But it was still like in my 20s, it wasn't that many on television, and it was like politicians who still weren't openly gay. And it's like, he said like the last, I would say, 10 years has been such a huge shift.
Yeah.
And then it also takes time for us who have experienced most of our lives in the other part of that. It takes us time to adapt, to get used to the people actually. But it's a fascinating thing, the few times where I suddenly think about that I'm gay. Yeah. And now finally I live my life without thinking about it. Just being happy with my boyfriend and having a good life and wondering what I'm gonna have for dinner or what we're gonna watch on television, because I love that. You know? So it's like such a shift from constantly going around thinking about it. And I think also before you tell people, it's like such a mindfuck.
Yeah. I can't put myself in your shoes. The only thing I can say is that listening to your story is very inspirational.
Thank you.
Yeah. It gives me proudness to be in your spirit, around your spirit, because what you have gone through. Because I can say, like, I've been bullied, but I've been bullied for something that, you know, it's. I feel like when it's something that is a part of your identity and a part of your soul, then it's so much more complicated. Because, like, when people were making fun of, like, what you can't hear, or, you know, it's like that's not the part of my soul.
No, that was
that's like that's a problem I have, but it's not like it's not in my soul. But loving.
I think like the one loving who you love feels like such an essence of yourself.
Yeah.
That's why it's also so vulnerable.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like the core part of who you are.
Yeah.
And who you identify as.
And imagine that society have been so cruel to trademark these things as different and as like almost weakness. And it's just love. And love comes in all forms.
Most definitely. And I also had some interviews where I've said that I'm so tired of talking about gay. But then I always come back to, I wish I would just suddenly tune on the radio when I grew up and it was someone talking about someone like me. Yeah. And also when you look around now, even in Europe, the climate for this is so typical me, but I now have to think gay, lesbian, gay, trans, queer, but you know, like queer people, queer.
all the letters,
all the letters, how even in the US, how all of these rights are now suddenly taken away from us. It reminds me like of all these isms, you know, like racism, feminism. If you, like, us humans are, if we relax for just like 15 minutes, something goes back to the medieval times. And it's so fucking annoying. But at least we're in the best of the queer times. We just need to keep them like that.
But I do feel like even though we have setbacks in society slowly moves forward.
But it moves forward, but also at the same time, you know, it's a Norwegian television host called Noman Bashir.
I love him.
You know, but I hope that's his name, you know, because
the NRK, the journalist.
Goes to all of these high schools and talk about, and he's also from Pakistan, I think, and being like a double minority and speaking about his experience of that. And he posted on Facebook like a week ago, like how the climate was at that school, and how he felt like he again was attacked as a grown man, and so it's
but
like
just look
it's never been better, but also we need to. This is the time where we actually need to focus.
Yeah, and we need to collectively use our voices to stand up against evil.
Yeah,
it's still happening in today's society where these kids that are collectively hurting are picking on beautiful human beings for being creative, for exploring, and it's
for just being them.
Yeah, for just being them. And I don't know what's happening with humanity, but like people are like immediately also I feel like when you start questioning things, it's either you're a conspiracy or you're like this or that. Like, thing has become so extreme. Like you can't even have an opinion about anything anymore because then you will say something.
And it's strange when you talk about just like trying to relate or understand someone's emotions and then listen and respect their emotions, then suddenly that turns into being woke. There's something negative, that you're actually just trying to be a compassionate human being or making like this crazy world we live in just work for as many people as possible.
Yeah.
But there's enough of everything actually. We don't need to compete so hard for it.
No. That's very good.
I think it's always I always thought about like talking about what's important for me, you know, like gay rights, that is like a cake, and it always fascinates me that if I talk about this, I take a piece of the cake, that someone will be so afraid that they think that there won't be any more cake left for them. If someone talk about these rights and that right and la la la, and then they end up like, but what about me? Yeah. What about me? And there's always enough cake, or like emotional cake, or I think we're capable to understand nearly everything if we just don't go in attack mode and be like, that's your emotions. I understand you. I hear you.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry that you feel this way, and then thank you for giving me the space. Now it's your turn.
Yeah.
Take it. Tell me what you would like. As long as you don't say it's about that my feelings are wrong.
Like you say, there's enough room for everybody on the table. Like I can share some. It's not a competition. And when things become a competition, and you bring in social media, and you bring in like, I don't know if you know this on TikTok, but there's like these pages where like kids are advocating for self-hurting themselves.
I only read about it.
Yeah, I read about it, and I was shocked when I read it. Just like, and here they are like, oh, if you do it like this, like advocating to hurt themselves, and it becomes almost like a competition who to hurt.
And then creating like this destructive community.
Yeah, stigma that this is like natural. I just feel like it's very important to have a voice, and you have a voice, and you're clear with your voice, and you use it in your music. You're very good at adapting your musicality with your identity, with how you portray. Like, when did you discover?
It's fascinating because when you ask me about like how I put myself or my experiences into my voice, I also think I think people see me as a singer, much more like very emotional, often sad love songs, often also related to the art scene, so a little bit like, you know, posh in a way, I don't know why. But so you have made like this happy place for you. I've made in public like this sad place. I think it's so much easier to go on stage and be sad on commando, like go into sad emotion. Yeah. And it fascinates me because I think the people who know me see me as a very joyous person, or like I'm quite high-spirited. But in the beginning of my career, I had some songs where we were like really happy-go-lucky, and I realized like I fucking hate this. I'm exhausted. I don't want to be happy now. I can't. I just can't turn it up. And I started doing like double whiskeys before I went on stage. And I realized this is the recipe for disaster. So I just like never played them again. And ever since I've only done sad songs. And then I was like, so easy to be sad on stage. And now I can go be happy again.
Wow, man.
But then also in this, but from like that I feel like I had used so much energy on adapting in my, or to not ending up adapting in my hometown. I also think it's been extremely important for me, like in public, to be completely myself, to be honest about as much as I'm comfortable with.
I'm the same.
That's why I also made like, my last album was an album with love duets, where I did love songs with other male artists, because I've never heard like a love song sung out between two guys before. And I started thinking about it in 2002, and I was like, isn't that fucked up? And we have like this, for decades, gay artists have been standing there like going into this character, doing love duets with female singers. And I was like, it's about fucking time the tables turn. So I had like this, I had Björn Eidsvåg, you know, who's a priest also. We did like this love duet. And I asked like a lot of straight artists or singers and rappers that I like to say like, do you want to do a love duet with me? And I'm so happy with that, that I was able to do it. And now there is like, if you're like 14 years old and you're longing and you don't dare to start, or maybe you grow up in a place where, well, there's maybe 2 other gays in the village. One is 5 years older than you, and the other one is 3 years younger, and you're 14, you can't date someone who's 11, you know? And then at least maybe you can listen to this song and just like, but one day, it's gonna be like in this song.
That's beautiful.
And now it's everywhere, so you can tune in.
You strike me as a poet.
Sometimes, yeah. But I like these songs. I always, as we talked about in the car, that I always, I think the magic about the voice is that it's the only instrument that can tell the story. And then also I always want people, I think I'm more of a performer than a recording artist, because I love this thing that happens when they can connect to the song or like the story I'm trying to tell immediately. If they haven't heard the song before, they understand, you met this guy, he broke your heart. The end. So I don't do, sometimes I use these metaphors, but most of the time it's just like to the core.
It's amazing to hear you say this, because whenever I have artists in the studio, I never focus on the technique. I only focus on the emotion and the performance, on letting that emotion out. And what I see, like especially like with younger artists that haven't been around in the game for a long time, they have some sort of confidence issue. Where it's like they go in the booth and they destroy it. It's so good, and then they afterwards it's like, oh, maybe this, maybe that, maybe. And I'm like, you can't, like, we can record this 100 times over. You will never get this recording, because the emotion, the feeling, that's the important thing. And
it's so difficult to after, like, if you've done it 10 times, the emotion is gone.
Yeah, it's true. You have to, like, and that's why I love having these talks before we make the song, because we tune in to each other. I know so much about you now that I didn't know before, and from that we're gonna have a song.
Yes.
And what do you want to make today?
Definitely a love song. You know, I think the most important thing.
Do you like, should we make some, I was thinking maybe we should make some like very emotional, like feel-good, melancholic house.
That would be amazing. I've never done that before.
No, me neither.
So I think that would be
it's a challenge, but
fun.
I think so. Like some really emotional chords.
Yeah.
Some piano playing.
Because I always,
like
you know, I always go back to what's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, but I also like a go-to for me often in the studio is like, for some reason, I always mention Baroque music and also like this movie Fifth Element. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
And you know, in the scene where they're in the opera and there's like this alien who sings and then suddenly her voice turns into a synthesizer and it goes back to being a normal voice. Oh my God. I think I've been like talking about that scene for 10 years and never gotten to it, to end up. But I'm working on a new album now. I think we're gonna get some of it.
Very exciting.
But you used to do the classical piano, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, like I'm very curious, like today, like when you heard that we were gonna make a song.
Yeah.
What were your like initial thoughts? Like where do you want to take it? Like
a beautiful love song.
Yeah.
And I also like, I think like a love song can work in every genre, you know?
Yeah.
And it can be with a beat, but maybe not that rhythmical vocal on top, you know. One of my all-time favorite is With Every Heartbeat by Robin, and Clear Up. It's just like timeless.
Yeah.
Do, do, and I think it's just like flat 4.
Yeah.
And like just some more, and then she sings like the way only Robin can do though, but she's never that rhythmical in it.
No.
That always hold the vocal.
We're gonna hold it today.
Yeah.
We're gonna bring out the tension.
Yes. Then I just need to use the toilet.
Yeah. It's a wrap. I'm excited. You know, when people always say, I need to use the restroom, you know, it's a good sign of wrapping up.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I'm excited. Let's go.
I'm excited too.
If she leaves you, I will dare.
The song you are hearing is Pain Relief together with the most amazing talented Nils Bech. As you can hear, his voice is filled with opera talent and his soprano all the way down to his alto voice just makes this into a musical journey. Pre-save, give it some love, it's out now on Friday, and the best thing, we're doing it all again next week. Catch you later, and remember to spread that love.